but
By
in
virtue of
passing
putting it
about
online,
because
you're
I
not
saw
giving
it
it
in
to
the
Google.
halls that next
By
day.
virtue of
Yeah.
putting it
But
online,
I've
it's the
got
same
a
as putting it
much,
up on
much
any
more
other
serious
website.
one
You know,
for that
if you put it up on
I just-
a website
I
that you
am,
get
I
space
am.
from
I
the
It's
host,
just-
I get nervous
you're
being
not
out
giving
there
your content
for
to the
40, for
host.
45 sold.
It's your content. This Google Sites is
sucking
just a
minutes, and
website
they're also
publishing.
scary too, I have to say.
Well, I don't know the people.
I'm filming this, Jim. That's what
I
that is.
mean, I mean, you
Oh.
know, it's,
They want a
it's
film
the
of the
squirrely looking people
things so
coming
they
up
can
to the
show
door.
them
It's like,
later.
what am I supposed
It's
to
filming
do?
me, not
Run
you.
away from them?
All right.
Well,
Now I
I
have
don't
to
know,
open
I'm
the
getting rid of them. Is this
So-
the whole group?
Yeah, this is it. We have 4 people.
Oh, for goodness sakes.
And I think part of the reason for that is I'm aiming this at fairly basic understanding of what Google Docs is and how it operates. And so I'm assuming a lot of the people who didn't sign up are because they're fairly comfortable with Google Docs. Unfortunately, I made a Google Docs failure, and in sharing documents with you guys, I Sarah Rose, if you haven't noticed, is teacher in the address book, and in trying to enter teacher, I entered all Oak Hill teachers. So I shared something I meant to share with just you guys, with the whole faculty. But if you look in your email, one way I have modeled the way you can use Google Docs is the 2 documents I'm using for this, the agenda and my slideshow I have shared with you folks. And you'll be able to go to these by clicking on the link that's in the email with you. It should say David Marr has shared a document with you. And there'll be one each for this one and the other one. And I unfortunately named them the same thing, but if you can find the one that is this document, if you click the wrong one, just leave it open and go back and open up the other one also. And open up this sheet, Google Drive Seminar Agenda. It has our learning target for
I
your
have that.
capacity matrix. I can create, share, and collaborate on documents using Google Drive. And some of you may already be there, in which case this will be very reviewish, and maybe you can help your
But we only
colleagues.
wanted to do this because we wanted to know.
Well, thank you. One thing to be aware of, and the students are very aware of this, is I can see who came in here, and so can you each other. And as you open up a document that's been shared with you, you'll show up here, and you can chat with each other and with me in the process. And the kids know this.
What, you
And-
clicked on 4 other viewers?
So,
So what does this mean I can chat? I mean, like,
So,
type
if I type
conversations
in-
with you?
So do I click on Google Drive Seminar, the little
Yes.
Yeah.
blue
Yeah.
link? Okay.
now that, you will probably notice that this is blinking if you haven't opened it already. And if you open it, you will see my message there.
Oh, and then I get a little box I can type, oh,
You can type
there's
back.
Cindy just said.
I just
Dave.
said, hi Dave.
Okay.
This is like Facebook, if you've ever done
So
Facebook.
how do we,
I won't do
And,
Facebook.
I didn't want to.
And I'll get into why this is actually a pretty useful tool, at least for the kids.
I have my marketing class, okay? And they do simulations, and they do it as a marketing team. And we are sharing, the teams and myself, I can go in and see what they're doing and say, hey, that's not the right angle, we need to look at it from this perspective, and it makes it a far better, it's cool.
Yeah, it's a collaborative tool. Let me go back to start. What we're working on today, how to use Google Drive. And I know this thing said Google Docs, but Google Docs has renamed the whole thing Drive, and one little piece of it is now Documents. So it's actually Google Drive. And we're going to go over the docs, the presentations, the spreadsheets, how to create and edit a document, and how to upload documents you already have. Because if you're not aware, we're almost certainly going to be using little Samsung machines that run a Google operating system next year, and pretty much your only word processing productivity suite is going to be Google Drive. All right, let me move over to the slideshow I have here. And I created this slideshow in Google Drive.
Why is it showing people on here for?
I don't know. It doesn't always get rid of them as soon as they close it.
And yours
I might have it open on the iPad. This is where you would find all this stuff. If you were open up in your email, you got search and mail, whatever, Drive. And you used to see Docs there, now it's Drive. So with what it is, it's Google's productivity tools suite. So Microsoft has Word, Excel, PowerPoint. Apple has Keynote, Pages, and Numbers. Google has Documents, Spreadsheets, and Presentations. They're not installed on your computer. They live on Google's servers. You access them through a web browser. And it's a different way of doing it. But the cool part is any computer you log into your Oak Hill account on, there they are. Similarly thing with the documents. The documents live in the cloud. You edit a document on your computer at home, you come in and use your school computer, that document is there. And that's kind of the neat thing with it. The other one is that you can then share editing with someone else and you can both work on the document remotely from different places. Some of the kids are actually pretty good at that. They're not terribly advanced. I've talked to a Google engineer who worked on spreadsheets when I did a seminar, and he was perfectly fine with the fact that Google Spreadsheets is not as good as Excel. But the sharing and the free are powerful reasons, even though it's not as good. And especially for a business person, I would say.
What we're running over there, if they take away my labs, I'm in trouble. Because I need that stuff.
You need the real Excel. Yeah, it's not the same as Excel. Okay, here's where it is. When you open it, you will see this interface. You will have, at the very least, the two documents I've shared. You probably have had other school documents shared with you over the years, so you'll probably have it populated with a number of documents. But that's where they would show up if you created one too.
Can you delete them? Like,
Yes,
delete
yes.
something off
You
that list?
can click here, this little checkbox, and when you click it, a menu will show up across here, and one of the things is remove.
But would I remove it so that no one in the world could see it anymore?
If you had shared it with anybody, and it doesn't by default share with anyone, you have to choose to share it.
Okay.
If you have chosen to share it with anybody, when you click remove, it will say, hey, you've shared this, are you sure you want to remove it? And if you click yes, it will, unless they've downloaded a copy, which they can. If you share it with someone, they can download their own copy of it. But, yeah, and that's important to know. It's in the cloud, but it is in your cloud only unless you choose to, like I did, share it with you. They do want people to think of this like a word processor, and people would not think of it like a word processor if they're putting it out in public as soon as they start typing. No one would want that, so they're pretty clear about that. Alright. The applications we have, document, spreadsheet, presentations, I'm kind of repeating myself here. You can create and edit documents, you may upload documents you've created elsewhere. Yeah?
Quick question, I'm just looking at it, and it says meet your drive, download Google Drive from Mac.
Yes.
So, how big is that program, or is it not even a program?
That's something slightly different. It's actually a pretty cool thing, but it's not, that is, do you use Dropbox?
No.
Okay. All that is a little program that will take a folder on your computer, and whatever you save in that folder will automatically be uploaded to Google Drive.
Oh, okay.
But it's not the spreadsheet itself. All it is a little program that takes those files and puts them on Drive automatically.
Oh, okay.
Alright, this, I don't think I'll play right now. For one thing, I'm not hooked up to the speakers, but I created it for your future reference. I don't know if you guys know how to create a screencast using Apple QuickTime, but if you hit record, it'll then record everything that happens on your screen along with your narration. So I did part of what I'm going to do right now, and I recorded it, put it up on YouTube, and you come back to this later and click it. If you forget something I said now and you want to hear it again, it's there for you. So out of here, I'm going to exit out of the presentation and just run through some of the stuff and do it live. So, go back to the Drive interface here. And you guys can follow along and do this too if you want. If you click out of that full screen mode, if you're even in it, and click on Drive, you'll come to an interface that looks like this. Go through two steps.
Is it on the PowerPoint? Or we have to click out of the PowerPoint?
Click out of the PowerPoint and you should be on an interface that looks something like this. Or maybe you'll be an interface that looks more like that.
From our email, right?
Yeah, but you click
Which
here.
heading at the top, Dave?
Oh, wait a minute.
Should we hit, which of the top headlines should we hit?
Oh,
Is it under more?
actually, it's not obvious from here how to get over there.
I had to go back to email.
Yeah, go back to email and just click the Drive in the
Okay.
black bar at the top.
Okay.
Alright, so first off, you're going to create a document. Create, and you get this list. A folder, if you like to organize your central database with folders, you have that option. You can create a folder, name it White One, name it Piano, name it, whatever class you're storing the documents for. I started doing that and then I stopped because Google is good at search. And if I'm looking for any document that I need, I search for it here and it pops up. And I just found that more efficient than putting it in the folders. But lots of people are just, that's the way they've always operated, and change is bad, and you can do it the old way too. Then you've got a document, and let's open that and look at the Google document interface. It looks like Word, kind of. You got all your formatting options here, bullet lists, indent, justification, bold, all that stuff. The table thing, if you like me using tables, is not as powerful as Word, but it functions.
How did you get to these screens again? I clicked on Drive. Ah, create, okay. Thanks.
Where's the create part again?
The big red button, Create.
Oh, right there. Okay. Give us
I'll help you out, Dave.
Thanks.
I've been playing with this a while.
The presentation one is probably, well, I don't use spreadsheets, so maybe spreadsheets is furthest behind. The presentation one is perfectly usable, but definitely not as powerful as PowerPoint, definitely not as pretty as Keynote, but it's functional. It has, yeah, Jim.
No, I was going to ask, like with the Google writing document program here, if you start using this as your formal writing piece, you start emailing it to other people, are they going to have access to this?
They will only have access to what you share with them.
No, but I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is, how when people don't have Microsoft Word 2007 or beyond,
okay.
and they can't open the document because it was written, they only have 2004 Microsoft Word.
Yeah.
So they say, oh, I couldn't open it.
People, yeah, they don't have to have a Google account to open and see the document. So anybody who you send it to should be able to see it.
Okay.
You can also, if you've created a document and you want to share it in a more traditional fashion, you can file, download, and you can download the document and get a file that you can email to somebody. If you don't want, if you're just afraid that if you email it to them, if you share it to them through Google Docs, you're just afraid it might add an extra point of confusion,
Right.
you can go ahead and download it and send it like that.
Okay.
If you're doing it within school,
You're all
everyone's
set.
going to have it.
Yeah,
But if you're doing
okay.
it outside of school, you
Okay.
might want to do that just to make sure nobody has an excuse for confusion.
Okay.
And
Um,
it does work, like the kids are running Macs, I don't obviously, I've
Yeah.
got the PC, and even on the Google Docs, when they put the stuff up there, even though they're working off Macs, we can work back.
Yeah,
Probably
no,
makes sense now if we have
no
a, wouldn't it make sense now too if we actually have a PC laptop to bring it and put this away? Start working from that now?
Why?
Since
It's not gonna be any different,
it won't?
no.
Okay.
And you're gonna have something totally
But-
different next year.
But we'll be working,
anyway.
well, isn't that format virtually the same as Windows? We're pretty close to what we were told, right?
It's
Wow,
as
that
close
will-
as anything. I mean, it's
not
its own
gonna be
operating
different.
system. It's Google Chrome operating system.
It's no
Yeah,
different.
so we have
So no
transit.
different than a PC world, right?
No, you got, yeah.
Well,
As
Mac,
different
no.
from PC as anything. It's its own thing. It's Google Chrome. I mean, it is basically the same as the Chrome browser that you have on a PC, but you also have a Chrome browser on
Because
it.
I have a PC desktop and a laptop at
Yeah.
home, so the Apple's actually been a stranger to me. I'm still mostly PC based. That's why I'm just asking that,
Yeah.
because, so it sounds.
Google Chrome is kind of its own world, though.
Okay.
Everything you produce in it will work on your PCs fine,
Okay,
and you can use it on your PCs fine.
okay.
So this is the presentation. It's pretty basic but works. And again, you can file and save this as a PowerPoint or a PDF. Or pictures? No, I've never tried that. And the spreadsheets, I'm not going to open one. It's pretty much, again, operate the same way. Now, you guys all have a folder full of documents that you've created in the past. And if we switch over to Chromebooks next year, you're not really going to be able to move them over to your Chromebook because they don't really have a hard drive on it. Yes?
The Chromebook doesn't have a hard
No,
drive.
put
You
it
can't
on
save
the
anything?
cloud. You gotta
It has
put
a
on
little
the
16
cloud.
gig hard drive, yeah.
Oh. What if you have an
Basically
external,
has a
what about
flash.
an external that you,
You can do that, yes.
Okay.
It basically has a little flash drive as its hard
so you
drive.
should bring your own flash drive if you wanna save something, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But you can also, next to the create button is this upload button. And you can take a document you've created other places, you can upload a whole entire folder, which I'm not gonna demonstrate, but you can if you have a folder full of it, and it will put it in its own folder under here. So you upload a folder, and this is actually, I was testing it last period because I wasn't actually sure if that was true or not, and Sarah Rose was asking, and I was like, well, let's see. I uploaded this folder, and it created a folder on my drive that had the documents that were in that folder on my computer there. Yes?
So basically, like any tests or whatever that you typed out in whatever program over the years,
Yes.
you now have put in the cloud, and you
Yes.
can get it off this.
Now, with the exception, Pages, Google Doc can read Pages, but that's it. It's kind of like you've got a picture of your Pages document up there that you can look at. And I think you could probably download it again to another computer, but you wouldn't be able to open and edit the Pages document.
But
Can you print what exists?
students have
Think
pages,
so,
you guys
yes.
have Office, and unless you've done it in Pages, you should be
Yeah,
able
if
to
it's
open
Office, you're
it
fine.
up in off, you know,
Yeah,
because
my-
if you did it in
if it's
Office
in Word.
off your Mac,
Yeah.
Word, okay, then you're gonna be all set up on the cloud, but if you did it in Pages, like you said, you can't
So, let
edit
me,
it as easy.
let me upload a file that I have on my computer here. Let's do this, status check on the government politics projects that they're working on. So, I went through that too quickly probably. Upload, file, found it, clicked open, and it uploaded. And you can see it's here in the little status box. In a few seconds, it'll actually show up over here in the main menu. But you can click at it here in the status box.
So
And I'm now,
okay, sorry. I hit create, and then it says files, enable folder upload. Do I hit enable folder upload?
I
Or
guess
file.
so, I must have already done that and I forgot
Is that
I'd done
can't-
that.
Okay.
Because then you enable it to upload entire folders.
Yeah, it says my browser doesn't support the uploading of entire folders.
Oh, do
We
you ever?
recommend that you use the Chrome browser.
Oh,
I
yeah.
guess I'm not.
Okay, so you're using Firefox or
Yeah.
Safari? Okay, I do remember that now that you say that. I've been using Chrome for a long time, so I forgot that.
Well, I'll just download Chrome before I have to do that.
I have a question, well, come next year when we're using those new things, since are we going to be on a different grading program then, because.
Do they run, I was gonna ask if those things run
Infinite
Java.
Campus- Infinite Campus is most stable under Firefox, not Chrome. And I don't know how, unless they're changing us to another.
Are we gonna be on Educate? Question is whether we're gonna be on
Yeah.
Educate.
Yeah,
I don't
how
think that
we're gonna
quickly.
be there,
I don't know whether those little Chromebooks will run Java very well. That's an excellent question. I don't know.
because I haven't had an opportunity to play with a Chromebook, and
Yeah,
I'm
John-
not sure what it will or won't do.
John is walking around with one right now. John Graham has one of them. He's
Yeah,
playing
But
with
I
it.
mean, like, how are we gonna do some of that
That's,
stuff?
Is it a certainty that we're getting, that
Yeah,
we're doing the
the
Chromebooks?
one-
it's
Why
pretty
not?
close
Yeah,
to
it
a
is,
certainty,
it
yeah.
is. That, I heard, yeah.
If it makes us get rid of the Java-based Infinite Campus, because it's horrible.
That's what I'm hearing is probably gonna
I
happen,
was just,
but I don't,
I was just grading from home and I had to update my Java. It took me like half an hour to get ready to grade last night on my home computer
Well,
because
that's
the
all
Java
right.
was messed up.
Every time I go from one page to another with Java here, I have to upgrade each page
Alright, let me,
forever.
so, I just uploaded this document, this was on my hard drive. What I have right now is kind of what I was talking about with Pages. It is kind of a picture of the document, I can't do anything with it except save it and show it, which is actually pretty good. I upload these to my webpage for the kids to be able to see what their homework was. But here is this document, it is exactly formatted the same as it was in Word, which is nice. This blue button right here, share, opens up this little menu. Here you can do a couple of things. One, share it with individual people. This is what I did with those ones I sent to you guys. I had typed in your names, you know, it has the address book in it, so it comes up Cynthia Doobie. And if I did this right now, the default is can't edit. This would then send her an email saying click this, and then Cindy would be able to open it, and it would be an editable version of it, and she could edit it, and I could edit it, and we could both work on it together. If you're doing it with students, you probably don't want to do that. You want to leave it as can view. Now you also probably don't want to enter in each of your students' email addresses into this thing every time you start a class. That would be tedious. So the other option is right here. Everything that you upload is by default private, it's just in your account. You can change, and it's got a bunch of choices. Public on the web, it's basically open to Google's search spider, and if someone typed in and they snippet a text from the document, it would show up in Google search. Probably don't want to do that. There might be reasons why you'd want to do that, but most not. I do anyone with a link for most of my documents that I put on my website. That means you click the link, it doesn't matter who you are, if you click the link, the document will open as view only. Some things like my PowerPoints that I got from my textbook, I've got perfectly copyright right to use them and show them to the kids. If I put them on the open web where anybody could see them, McGraw-Hill would probably not like me. I click rsu4.org. Or it's either .net or .org. You have to be logged into school email in order to view the document. And that way I can put stuff up like an article that I don't have the right to publish to the world, and only the students will be able to see it. Small wrinkle that the kids aren't always logged in, and there's always the handful of kids who forgot their password and they do, I don't use my school email. Well, you know, it's not really an option, you have to, but that's what we get into. I guess you can change this, you can edit. I can't imagine why you would want to do that, but you can. When you hit save here, I'm going to do it back to anyone with a link, it will leave you with a URL you can copy and paste onto a website if you use a website, into an email if you want to do it with a mass email or whatever. But you've got that link, and that's the link that anyone can use to view it with. It's a great tool for sharing a document that you want students to see. And this is a great document. The kids, some of them are really good at it. Isaac Fair is an expert at collaborating using Google Docs. And you'll see the kids sometimes sit down to do a group project, and they're all working on the same document clustered around, but they're all got it on their own computers. And they could do that from home also. And that's where this chat window comes in handy. Because if you have this chat window open, and they're working on a document, they can say, oh, can you edit this, or you know, they just have a back channel to communicate besides writing it in the document, which has obviously has its downsides. Now, going back to this, what if I'd uploaded this to Google Docs and now I want to edit it? I don't want to just have a picture of it. I have to go back to the regular first interface. Click the little checkbox I had pointed out before. And under More, you have an option to open with. The viewer is what we were just using, Google Drive Viewer, but Google Docs, it opens it as the word processor. and as you can see, like the length of the lines, whatever, the formatting's not perfect because it's opening a Word document in a different program. Yeah, it's gotten better. It used to be terrible, the formatting. You open it up in Google Docs, and you have to spend 10 minutes fixing all the little formatting problems. They've gotten a lot better at that. And if it was just text, you wouldn't have these problems. It's because of the lines. But now this is, it's open in a word processor. I can edit it as I please.
And because we do stuff up here in MLA, that was one of the things because of the Chromes next year.
Yeah.
Jean sent me a couple of templates to look at that, I'll call MLA style research paper template.
Okay. Yeah. If under create, you create a document, you can. Ooh, wait a minute. Where's the templates applying? I know. Oh, okay. New from template, and there are no RSU4 templates right now, but we could create them. So if a student hit new, they'd have all these templates, but there's all kinds of public templates. And resume. If you hate Google Docs, you want to get a new job, you can use the resume one. Syllabus, student evaluations, lesson plan, trip planner, recipe. And that's just the templates, same thing as the templates that you get in Word or Pages. Same idea.
Are there templates for capacity matrix?
Nope. Now I do have some templates for capacity matrix that I got from attending one of those workshops. Here. Some of them I don't like very much, but there are some capacity matrices that I could forward you a template for.
That would be much, I think everybody would appreciate that if you had the means.
Yeah. Alright. So, we did create a document, upload a document, convert an uploaded document into an editable document. Probably the best thing to do would be to do it a few times and just do it yourself so you can see the problems that you might run into and see the questions you run into. The one, and I'm not positive whether, I think the drive for Mac is already in your applications folder. I think they put it on the image, but it might not be. It's also downloadable here. This is this little program right here. It'll show up in your taskbar up top. And you tell it what folder, and if you look on my Finder here, I have a folder here called Google Drive. And any document I drop into this folder will automatically upload into my Google Drive account.
Oh,
And-
just the act of moving it in there makes it go.
Yes. And when I create a Google Drive account, it then downloads a small copy of it onto my computer, although essentially these are just links that will open it up in the Drive interface. They have gotten actually to the point where they can work offline. That's a recent development. So if you have this will be on your Chromebook, and if your Chromebook is disconnected from the internet, it won't work as well, but it will actually edit the documents in Drive offline a little bit. Drive also does work with video. This is a video of that screencast that I was just talking about. If you notice, it looks an awful lot like YouTube. And I did end up uploading some of them to YouTube, but this one here is not on YouTube. This is on Google Drive Video. The advantage with that being is the ability to share very specifically with who you want to share it with and not with the world. So if you had some sort of video of the band playing that you wanted to share with some kids, but you didn't want to put it on YouTube for the world to see, you can do that. it does, you have space, let's see. We get 5 gigabytes of space each, and the videos use part of your space, so I've got half a gigabyte out of my 5 gigabytes assigned. I think we'll get more when we're using Chromebooks next year. I think our space will be increased. But you have to be somewhat, if you're just sharing documents, you will not fill up your 5 gigabytes of space with documents. If you start uploading videos in MP3s, you might use up your 5 gigabytes of space. Any questions? I might have gone a little too fast with some of this stuff.
So I'm wondering, can you assign a project to a class that they can complete in their computers and send to you?
Absolutely, yes. They could write the document in here,
Okay.
I'm not, how do you spell Beethoven?
THOVEN.
And write a, biography of Beethoven, and then I could share it. With you.
All right, and so that means when I go to email, I know this is coming, so I click on Drive, and it shows up in this list.
Yes. Now, the awkwardness of that would be that you'd get like a whole bunch of them in your main folder, and keeping track of who sent it when. I would think you'd want to create a folder for White Period 1 and drag and drop them into White Period 1 as you get them. But it wouldn't work as automatically. If you look at Turnitin as a solution, get some training on Turnitin, which is, I've started doing that, exactly what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And then just because Turnitin specializes on exactly that tool, and instead of taking a general tool and kind of making it work for kids passing in work, Turnitin is for that. So I started doing exactly what you're talking about, and then I started using Turnitin, and I just don't see any reason to use Google Drive for it anymore. But yes, absolutely, you can have them pass stuff into you by sharing it with you.
Could they pass in audio files out of GarageBand, for example?
Oh, I see where you're going. Yes, I imagine they could. Yeah.
Thanks.
And that would get around like the size limit of sending a file by email. So if it was a 50 megabyte GarageBand file, they'd have to upload it, but once it was uploaded, it would be on our servers already, and yeah.